American Legion Post 381, Eden Valley, Minnesota. Roll call of deceased veterans, 2020. Roll call of deceased veterans. War of 1812, William Towler. Civil War, George Arnold, John Brick, John Brown, J.L. Chadwick, A.J. Charles, Robert C. Charles, Curtis Clark, George Clark, Morgan Driver, Rudolph Enderle, John Fick, Jeremiah Goebel, William Grenner, Charles Groves, Goyne Hamilton, W.P. Hammond, Raymond Hanley, D.R. Hanscom, C.O. Houghton, James L. Jones, Mark Jones, Lewis Cook, Enoch Levitt, Charles Mabey, James McCarney, Patrick McCarney, James McIntyre, Peter McIntyre, Edward Murphy, Albert Nicholas, George Nicholas, William Nicholson, Edward Owens, William Porter, John Reagan, J.S. Reeves, Alfred Rogers, Nathan Joseph Skellinger, Charles Shepard, William Shoemake, Albert E. Thomas, George Thomas, E. E. Toms, William Toms, J.W. Torrey, William H. Towler, Christian Chumperland, Martin Welsh, Asa Wilson, Chauncey Wilson, Ferdinand Zerl. Spanish-American War, Martin Dillon, Charles Fissler. World War I, Clarence Arbogast, George Armstrong, Lucius Arnold, George Bashey, Frank Becker, Art Bennett, Clyde Bennett, John Blunker, Arvid Bonstrom, John C. Boyer, Myron Boyer, Clarence Brown, Andrew Bruner, John Beakley, Francis Cassidy, James Crystal, Frank Coleman, Arthur Kozer, Mark Dillon, Peter Dunny, Dr. George L. Este, John Goffin, Fred Gore, Albert Groats, Emil Getty, James Hanley, Thomas Hawkins, Peter Jansen, Peter Jost, Arthur Ketchum, Arthur Keelty, John Conan, Andrew J. Lahr, John Lanin, Mike McCann, John Milherrick, Philip Niedermeyer, Frank O'Brien, Brendan O'Shea, Peter Peterson, Dr. Floyd E. Putnam, Clarence Rexford, Jacob Ruprecht, Paul Ruprecht Sr., Grover Sattler, John Sattler, Edward W. Shirey, Thomas Schmidt, John Schmitz, Mike Schmitz, Nick Schmitz, Hubert Schmitz, Hubert Schneider, Lloyd Scott, Arthur J. Snell, Joseph Teicher, Ed Thielen, Mike Thielen, James Tritabaugh, Herman Wendroth, Clyde Wilkinson, Louis Zoller. World War II, Donald Bud Albright, Christopher Arnold, Elmer Arnold, Florbert Arnold, Henry Arnold, Isidore Arnold, Leander Arnold, Ray Arnold, Joe Baird, Harold Bauer, Norbert Becker, Wilfred Becker, Cecil Bennett, Dwayne Bennett, Ed Berg, Emil Berg, George Berg, Robert Berg, Kenneth Berggren, William Best, Eugene Beale, Jacob Bischoff, John Bischoff, Lloyd Bischoff, Leonard Blumker, Leander Brown, Dean Brown, Harold Cashman, Patrick Clokey, Ray Covert, Bill Cutton, Bert Danielson, Harry DeFries, Andy DeMorit, Leo Dillon, M.E. Dillon, Edward Eads, Warren Edwards, John Fernbaugh, Don Fetzer, Julian C. Fink Jr., Leopold J. Fink, Matt Finken, Lawrence Fisher, Clem Friedrichs, John Friedrichs, Dennis Garvey, Chester Goebel, Lawrence Grossinger, Alvin Haig, Ed Haig, John R. Hanley, Emil Hemmingson, Frank Hempfling, Ed Henches, Dick Hemans, Roger Holt, Raymond H. Homeyer, Oral Hoskins, Lawrence Hushley, William Inselman, Merrill Johnson, Orville Johnson, Vernon Johnson, Wayne L. Johnson, Melvin J. Jones, Lloyd Jorgensen, W. O. Ketchum, Albert Kieverman, Ed Kirkpatrick, Frank Kleiss, Leonard Kleiss, Frank Koppel, Raymond Kortz, Howard Kringle, Frank Cruzel, Albert Lahr, Matt Lahr, Arlo Larson, Leonard Linedecker, Elmer Lease, Norman Linnemeyer, Clem Locke, Darrell Lounsbury, Dewey Lounsbury, Robert Lounsbury, L.G. Lundeen, Norman Lunderby, Nick Madden, Walter Mall, Frank Mausen, Irwin McCann, Joe McCann, Leo McCann, Emmett McCarney, Joseph McCarney, Robert McCarney, William Billy McCarney, Joe McCarthy, James McEntee, Roman Meyer, Glenn Miller, Raymond Miller, Lester Mills, Ev Mortensen, Raymond Moser, Ray Nelson, Sylvester Nye, Alfred Fritz Nissler, Erwin Nissler, Bernard Nissler, Florian Nissler, John Nissler, Leonard Nissler, Richard Nissler, Joe O'Brien, Francis O'Keefe, Joseph O'Keefe, Philip O'Keefe, Robert Partridge, Joseph File, Don Pachoki, Ben Plantenberg, Al Rademacher, John Reagan, Phil Reagan, Andrew Reiter, George Romey, Wes Rickert, Alois J. Ruland, Vincent Ruland, Richard J. Ruland, Don Ryan, Greg Sattler, Jack Sattler, Elmer Sauer, Herbert Schmidt, Sylvester Schmidt, Joseph Schmidt, Jerome Schenecker, Robert Schenecker, Barton Schreffler, Gilbert Schreiner, Arnold Schultz, Marvin Schultz, Andrew Schutz, Floyd Shaw, Leroy Smoley, Norvald Sogi, Matt Sprank, Bill Sturm, Ed Teicher, Edward P. Tice, Joe Tice, Lawrence Tice, Edmund Thielen, Raymond Thielen, Al Thole, Harold Toms, Willard Tiemens, James Tintus, Wendell Trittabaugh, Roman Utek, John Van Dyke, Charles G. Waite, Warren Waite, Roman Weber, Matt Weisberger, Clarence Welliver, Leroy Welliver, Fritz Werner, Roberto Williams, Alan Wood, Andrew Ziegelmeyer. Korean War. Dale Anderson, Gene Anderson, Vernon Arbogast, Elmo Arnold, George Arnold, Philip Arnold, Richard Arnold, Bob Bauer, Laverne Becker, William Best, Harold Binsfield, James Bischoff, Conrad Blunker, Bob Bregelman, John R. Crystal, Alfred DeMort, Cy DeMort, Harold Dockendorf, Leo Dockendorf, Mike Dockendorf, Terrence Doherty, Robert Dragan, Sylvester Ertl, Joe Fink, Joe Friedrichs, Mike Garvey, Andrew Greenus, Harold Buck Haig, Vernon Haig, Ralph Hahn, Jim Hamlin, Gordon Hedeen, Richard Hedeen, Wilfred Hendrickson, Jerome Henches, Robert Henches, Art Hookreed, Wally Johnson, Mel Kackman, Stan Knaus, Cliff Locke, Stan Marple, Ray Martinson, Wally Maschke, Robert Moser, Richard Nye, Adrian Noner, James Phillip, Virgil Reddig, Val Riley, Gene Rossmeisel, George M. Ruland, Ralph Ruland, Bob Schmidt, Verlin Schmidt, Donald Schmidt, Roman Schmitz, David Schenecker, Hillard Schutte, Marvin Sweet, Donald Tice, Elmer Tice, Franklin Tice, J. L. Tice, Sylvester Tice, Donald Thielen, Florbert Thielen, Isidore Thielen, Don Toms, Gerald Chumperland, Joseph Uchek, Lloyd Warren, Harry Weber, Kenneth Weiss, Irvin Wellbrock, Leland Wendroth, Ron Wendroth, Reuben Wendroth, Andy Westrup, Robert Westrup. Cold War, Leland Wendroth. Vietnam, Phil Army, Daniel Arnold, James Lee Bennett, Eugene Berscheid, Harold Bethel, Peggy Bethel, Thomas L. Camp, Tom DeMorit, John Doherty, Ronald Fink, Leroy Garding, Jim Hess, Kenneth Holvold, David Holmgren, Ed Holmgren, Larry Eisch, James Kleiss, Jerome Kleiss, Terry Koloff, William Kraft, Thomas R. Lahr, Dennis Larson, John Lauer, Leo Ludwig, Dennis McCann, Lowell Meyer, Eldred Nye, Dale Otto, Leroy Ferrigo, Gary Qualley, Gary Rykowski, Peter Romy, Mark Rose, Andrew Rossmeisel, Joseph Ruland, Larry Ruland, Timothy Roon, James Sauer, Donald Schlungen, Tony Schlungen, Francis Schrummel, Martin Schrummel, Leon Schumacher, John Smith, Roy Sponholz, Raleigh Stanky, Charles Strait, Harold Tice, John A. Tice, Lloyd Thielen, Harold Toole, Ken Wadsworth, Bill Weeks, Herb Wilner, Grenada, Dan Blunker, Gary Schmidt, Panama, Dan Waite, Bruce Wurtzfield, Persian Gulf, Tom Fischover, Warren Schreifels, Wayne Schreifels.